Hola mi gente, MsMalcolmHughes here. Welcome back to all of my return subscribers. So today I am coming with a book review. I haven't told you all that I was reading this book, but I did tell you all that I would be reading books that I haven't read that came out this year that I wanted to read in preparation for the books that I think were the best that came out this year. Obviously, I have not and will not read every book that came out this year, but I will read the ones that I've purchased or that I've been gifted in order to tell you all the books that I think have been the best for this year. So the book that I'm coming to review today is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. And since I haven't told you all that I was reading this book, and then therefore I haven't told you all what the book is about, I am going to read the description before I get into my review. 7 days to fall in love, 15 years to forget, and 7 days to get it all back again. Eva Mercy is a single mom and best-selling erotica writer who is feeling pressured from all sides. Shane Hall is a reclusive, enigmatic, award-winning novelist who, to everyone's surprise, shows up in New York. When Shane and Eva meet unexpectedly at a literary event, sparks fly, raising not only their buried traumas, but the eyebrows of the Black literati. What no one knows is that 15 years earlier, teenage Eva and Shane spent one crazy, torrid week madly in love. While they may be pretending not to know each other, they can't deny their chemistry, or the fact that they've been secretly writing to each other in their books through the years. Over the next 7 days, amidst a steamy Brooklyn summer, Eva and Shane reconnect. But Eva's wary of the man who broke her heart and wants him out of the city so her life can return to normal. Before Shane disappears, though, she needs a few questions answered. With his keen observations of creative life in America today, as well as the joys and complications of being a mother and a daughter, 7 Days in June is a hilarious, romantic, and sexy as hell story of two writers discovering their second chance at love. So that is the description of this book. Let's get into it. So, you've heard the description. We have two characters. We have Eva, we have Shane. And let me start by saying, dare I say that I love this book? Oh, 7 Days in June was a journey. And I didn't love every part of the journey. I would say this because it came first. I hated, emphasis on hated, the first chapter. So much so that I have no kind words for it. However, it does set the scene for everything to come, set you up properly. And listen, when I say chapter 2 more than made up for it, I was so glad I continued reading. So yeah. And why didn't I love chapter 1? Chapter 1 really lays the foundation for Eva's fans. We get to know Eva, but it was so mundane. The word that I have for it is not kind, so I don't want to use it. It was just, I felt as if I was walking into a cheesy romance novel, or just a cheesy novel, and I hated that feeling. And that's not what it was. But if you read that first chapter, the way that Eva's fans are described, it was just, I was like, is this gonna be bad erotica? Like, I'm not feeling this. I didn't like the pacing. It's just, chapter 1 did not do it for me. But everything after that was uphill. Everything after that was only uphill. So I'm giving chapter 1 a pass. And it's not a bad chapter. I just didn't care for it. So what I loved about this book are the characters. They're so relatable. Eva, as you heard the description of her, she can be a little neurotic, but she is a dope character. She's very relatable. Her and her daughter, Audrey, so dope. Her and her daughter, Audrey, are so well written, especially Audrey. Audrey is so dynamic for a teenager, or even a preteen. She just has, yeah, preteen. Such wit, such humor, such knowledge. And some would argue that it's like, oh, there's no child, like that's not a yeah, I know children who are that sharp. And she's just so well written. She challenges, she pushes. Such a good character. Eva herself, even though I really like Eva, the character that really made me get into this was Shane. Shane is, there's a meme, I'll insert it here. It's like me falling in love with a fictional man written by a woman. Oh, women, when women write men, they just nail it. Oh, nail it. And I guess because women who are date men, we just know like what an ideal companion would be. And I guess when we're writing, we have creative liberty just to create this character that's probably influenced by some people we know. But just Shane is so well written, and Shane is so problematic, but he's trying, and he knows that he's effed up. He's working on fixing it, and we can all root for that. And Shane just reminded me of like some dope guys that I know. Really invested in his work. He's had some BS happen in the past, a lot of traumas in the past, but dedicates time now to giving back and really focus on the youth in the future. And I love the fact that he's a teacher. But honest, really charismatic, aggressive in the right ways, tender, caring, just a dope dude. Not without flaws by any means, but not one-dimensional. That's it. When women write men, they're complex and not one-dimensional, and just like life. So I love it. I really like Shane is a dope character. His story arc is really good. I love, oh, I cannot tell you guys this part, but I love toward the end when you know you've matured. Have you ever known that you've matured and an opportunity presents itself and you want to take it, but you know that at this point in your life you cannot, and it wouldn't be fair to you or the other person, and at a different point in your life you would have chosen to do it, but now you don't. And it shows growth, and it shows maturity, and it shows a self-awareness that I don't think we always get to see. And I don't think I'm a huge like romance reader, but this was like nicely done. Also, I love the generational trauma, yes, but there's different women across generations. So I guess I love the generational unpacking. So Eva's mother, Lizette. Now that's a problematic character. Lizette, huh. But I love the way Eva navigates that. I love the way that she realizes who she's trying to protect, their relationship, and how she tries to protect her for her daughter. What we choose to say, what we choose to hide. It's so good. Speaking of characters, her best friend slash agent, Cece. We all know a Cece, the person who's a connector. If you don't know Cece, you probably are a Cece. Well, you just are really good at connecting people, right? You're like, oh, this person needs to be with this person. And not necessarily romantically, you just like, you can see the pieces. I like to call it being a strategist. You can see the pieces that need to fit together and you make it happen. Love that. So yeah, Cece was great. Cece was a great addition. Love the fact that the daughter is named after such literary greats. As someone who loves books, loves literature, that was like a little chef's kiss for me. So good. And it was in your face. I won't say it was subtle. It was in your face, but it was like, that's dope. And as a writer, both of our main characters are writers who've written about each other over the years in their books. I guess it's someone who loves writing and loves books and loves romance and love. It just brought together a lot of things, but also loves unpacking trauma. Also loves healing generational wounds, right? Also loves giving back to the youth. Also loves the importance of community building and seeing Black excellence, right? And seeing affluency, Black affluency, and all of its commonality and all of its regularness, to not make it as if it's abnormal. Loved it. Loved it. Now, I've given this book a lot of praise. I love Tia Williams' style of writing. It was very natural. I was engaged throughout. It kept my attention. Once it grabbed it with chapter 2, it never really let it go. It's one of those books that you know you're gonna miss before you finish it, but you have to finish it because you have to know what happens, but you know you're gonna miss it. It was one of those reads for me, not without flaws. Again, hated chapter 1. Also, I wish that Eva and her mother would have had a full-blown confrontation and unpacking. They had a little bit, but I needed them to unpack them more, especially because to Eva, or for Eva, the story of the women in her family and her doing things in a different manner and finding out the truth of what's happened with them historically is so important to her. So I think that her and her mother needed to hash out some things. I wish that we could have seen that here. But again, this story, but honestly, this story is Genevieve's, Eva, nicknamed Eva, and Shane's story. So it was about them, right? And the parts about them were so good. I honestly, even though I liked the other parts, I hated when Shane and Eva were not the main storyline happening, which also just speaks to the fact that their chemistry, the author wrote their chemistry so palpably that like you felt it. At one point, Eva and Shane had a scene that had me blushing. Why was I blushing? I'm not in the book. Shane's doing nothing to me, but it made me blush, which is just good writing, right? It captures you, it doesn't let you go, it brings you in so you can feel exactly what the characters are feeling. Just Tia Williams did it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I know a lot of women are now like, or a lot of people now like love Shane. Shane's not my favorite male written character, but I do love him. I do love him. It was a good story. So if I had to tell you to read it now, read it when you have time, or you don't need to read it, I would say read it now. I would say read it now with an if. I would say read it now if you're looking for something that is light but has depth, that will pull you in. If you're looking for a love story to believe in, if you're looking for writing that's easy, the pacing is good, there's really no lags. Yeah, it's a really like feel-good book, even though it has so much more depth and layers than that, and there's some portions that will rip you apart. Literally, this book at one point was breaking my heart, just because it felt so just ripping it up, just because I felt those feelings. So the author did an amazing job of doing that, just getting the sentiment across, making it clear, and just bringing you in and never really letting you go. So I really enjoyed the book. I think it's worth reading. Hopefully the description and my review, you were able to get something out of it, have a real insight. Let me know in the comments down below if you have read it, if you plan to read it, if it doesn't really seem your speed, let me know. So that is it for me. More book reviews to come. I'm always reading, even if I'm not posting, just to come back and give you all more reviews and my thoughts on books. So as always, I am MsMalcolmHughes, one who believes that books are sometimes better than people. And until next time, remember to give time, to be kind to each other, and to have the best day of your life on purpose. Adabo. Adios. Also, for those of you inquiring, I do still have buttons, my Ms. Malcolm Hughes pins, and the details on how to get those are below.